Zemariah Hallback, a 17-year-old African-American female with brown skin, weighing about 130 pounds and standing 5'9", sat cross-legged, contemplating her developing fetus. She told her 19-year-old boyfriend, Zachary Greenwood, about the pregnancy. The next day, he visited her parents' home and gave her a manila envelope. She couldn't ask about the envelope as Zachary opened the door, entered his vehicle, and drove away. She was taken aback. His conduct seemed earnest. Her eyes widened, impairing her vision. Her mouth was agape, and she remained motionless. His actions were too intense to resist, leaving her no chance to respond. She wondered if she was trapped in a nightmare, having a pregnancy-related breakdown, or if her perceptions were correct. She looked at the envelope, nodded, and went to her bedroom. Inside the envelope was a letter and stacks of $100 bills. The letter apologized, expressing love but explaining unforeseen circumstances, stating that he thought she was on birth control. They're young. She was in high school. He wanted to attend university and believed a child would hinder their education and future. She held her head as tears streamed down her cheeks, then picked up the letter and continued reading. It said his dad was furious about the pregnancy and against him becoming a father at his age. They provided him with funds to give her and said she should proceed as she saw fit. The remaining funds were for her concerns. Sincerely, Zach. His parents supplied her with financial support to terminate the pregnancy, as well as to eliminate her should the surgical procedure prove unsuccessful. Despite their decision to send their son to an out-of-state college, they aimed to disassociate themselves from her. She fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face, overwhelmed by emotions that made her numb. Her head spun, nearly vomiting, not from pregnancy but because of his betrayal. She was distressed by Zachary's conduct in the pregnancy. He viewed human life as insignificant and avoided confrontation, yet the day before, he expressed love because he wanted what caused the pregnancy. Since she was in her first trimester, Zemariah's belly was still flat. She wasn't sure how to tell her parents about her pregnancy, feeling ashamed and scared. Tears welled in her eyes, knowing her parents would be furious when she told them. Her biggest dilemma was that she didn't want to terminate the pregnancy, nor would they allow it. Her father returned home from work to greet his daughter. He knocked. After wiping her face, she invited him inside. He stood by the door as she wiped her face. "What's wrong? Is everything all right, my dear?" "No, Dad, everything's wrong. Now please tell me what's going on." "Daddy," she said, clutching her stomach. "Are you pregnant, my dear?" Her mother entered the room without knocking. "What is the matter?" she inquired. Observing her daughter, she asked, "What has occurred to you, dear?" Zemariah wept more fervently. Her husband replied, "She is in trouble." "Pregnant!" she exclaimed. "You are still in high school. Your father is a prominent businessman and the church's first elder. What will the congregation think? That our daughter is promiscuous." He asked, "Are you sure you're pregnant, or is there a mistake?" Zemariah nodded. "How far along are you?" Zemariah fidgeted. "Zemariah, I asked you a question," her mother exclaimed. She said, with her neck lowered in shame, "I missed my menstruation and took pregnancy tests. They were positive. It has been about 6 weeks." Her mother asked, "Could you tell us the response from the individual responsible for the pregnancy?" Zemariah covered her face and said, "He said that we are unable to have a child due to our youth and lack of readiness." Her mother said, "He is correct, but you should have considered this before all these events. Children are adults' responsibility. You will go to Sarah and place the child for adoption." Her husband said, "Yes, we must relocate you out of this state to reside with a family member. What are your thoughts, Zemariah?" Zemariah inquired of her parents, "Mom, Dad, will you permit me to consider it?" Her mother said, "Honey, you just turned 17 in August. Today is September 1st, and you haven't started classes. Do you want to give birth during class or graduate with your newborn in front of classmates? I care about you and your unborn child. The best course is what we agreed upon." Her husband said, "It's settled then." Tears streamed down Saraya's cheeks. Her mother said, "It's the best decision for all. We'll talk to Sarah and decide how to put the child up for adoption." Saraya spent days alone, possibly embarrassed to face others. She moved in with her aunt Sarah to have the baby and finish school. Sarah, her mother's elder sister, warmly welcomed Saraya. Luckily, her cousins were married and left home, easing her worries about their questions. She began prenatal care at her aunt's house. Saraya kept Zachary's money. She didn't spend it. He never inquired about her well-being or her decision about the pregnancy. His sister Jaylin, who was supposed to be her high school best friend, didn't call either. During her 12-week pregnancy, she underwent an ultrasound and was astonished to discover she was expecting triplets. Tears streamed down her face as she realized 3 fetuses were developing. She wondered whether to proceed with the adoption or keep her children. Considering the infant's well-being, she wept. At her age, caring for even one child would be difficult, let alone 3, especially without a job or education. She would be forced to give all 3 infants up for adoption, finish high school, and pursue further studies. Seated in the armchair, she thought of Zachary. Though some might think becoming pregnant at 17 was a mistake, they truly wished to be together before he returned to college. She loved him enough to give herself to him and got pregnant in the process, but he dismissed her and paid for her to abort. Thinking of Zachary, tears dropped from her face. She was compelled to act in her children's best interests. She took deep breaths, recognizing that her affections should be directed toward her unborn children rather than dwelling on Zachary's. Several weeks later, an ultrasound confirmed that all the infants were female. She felt a profound joy and desired to see and hold them, even if only briefly. She offered a prayer for their safety. Her mind was consumed with concern for the children. Would their adoptive parents protect them? What paths would their lives take? Would she see them again? She closed her eyes, contemplating the future. She took the envelope and looked at the money. Her retinas reddened with anger. She was indignant, fists clenched. Zachary dared to ask her to abort their child, now children, and compensated her for her troubles. His parents didn't believe that taking a life was morally wrong. She harbored deep resentment for his entire family. She previously designed 3 heart-shaped lockets, visited a jewelry store, commissioned a jeweler to create them, provided explicit engraving instructions, and selected matching necklaces. Saraya stood before her aunt's bedroom door and knocked. Sarah responded, "Come in, sweetheart." "Aunt Sarah, I need to talk to you about something important." Sarah nodded. "If Zachary and his family knew I was expecting multiple children, would they offer financial help for an abortion and compensate me?" Sarah considered the possibility, glanced at her niece, and kindly said, "Please, sit down, honey." Saraya sat. Sarah then said, "I am uncertain, honey. It could go either way, but let's be honest. If they didn't want one child, do you believe they'd welcome multiple, adding responsibilities and risking his future?" Saraya agreed, saying, "I expected that." Sarah added, "What about the esteemed education they aspired to provide for their son? What about the family's reputation, which they wish to uphold?" Zachary concurred with their decisions. Otherwise, he would have intervened to protect both you and his child. She added, "Most affluent people believe wealth equals empowerment and solves problems. They think it gives them authority over the less fortunate to control or buy forgiveness instead of tackling complex issues." Saraya said, "It is true. I didn't anticipate Zach, aware of the pregnancy, would withdraw his support. Sending me to you was the most prudent decision my parents made. I am grateful to have you as my emotional support." "Thank you." Sarah smiled and asked, "What have you learned about what has transpired?" "Aunt Sarah, I've been thinking, this is my biggest mistake. I acted impulsively. I believed I was in love and he felt the same." Sarah nodded as if she understood exactly what her niece was saying. Soraya added, "I reflect on Zach and my life, realizing he might have intended to manipulate me. I hadn't perceived his self-centeredness. He was motivated by egotism, whereas my actions were driven by altruism and imprudence. I accept the consequences." Sarah stated, "Most of the time, young women believe they are in love, but some young men are merely hunting. When prey is inattentive, they become victims." She nodded. "The situation was not as I had envisioned. It was neither the outcome Zach expected. Consider, I became pregnant and he is free from responsibilities and moving on. I carry the stigma of a teenage pregnancy, shame due to my age, being unmarried and pregnant. Imagine a teenage girl with 3 children, no education or job," she sniffled. Sarah gently patted her back. "Dearest, you made an unwise decision. The past can't be changed, but you control your future. You will finish high school and continue your education." She said, "I thank God for you and my parents, who have my best interests at heart. My education hasn't changed because of the pregnancy. I'll continue until I earn my degree. Aunt Sarah, thank you." Sarah nodded for acknowledgement. "How do your peers treat you at school?" She shrugged and said, "Aunt Sarah, that girl is no longer part of my life. I've come to value myself. I stayed silent when they commented on me, as my goal for school is to graduate, not socialize." Sarah asked, "What are your plans after childbirth?" "I wish to remain here with you to attend college, if it is okay with you." Sarah smiled and said, "But of course. Your cousins live with their families and won't stay at the house, maybe just for visits. I'd appreciate your company if you decide to stay." Soraya embraced her. Throughout her 32 weeks of pregnancy, her health remained stable. However, Soraya's abdomen appeared enlarged. To reduce stress and avoid complications, her obstetrician advised her to take a leave of absence from her academic responsibilities until delivery. She responded with a nod of assent, but continued attending classes. Ultimately, she carried the pregnancy to term and gave birth before graduation. Before her delivery, Soraya asked the physician to check if the triplets shared a placenta to determine their zygosity. The physician also took cheek swabs from the triplets for testing. She implored her aunt, tears in her eyes, to help deliver the jewelry boxes to the adoptive parents for the children. It was deeply distressing for her to accept that she would not witness her children's growth. Sarah embraced her niece and urged her to remain resilient. Soraya gained admission to several colleges, but chose the one she felt connected to, easing the emotional strain of separation from her children. She focused on economic studies and aimed for excellence. The funds Zachary provided remained with her, except for a minor portion used to purchase jewelry. The malicious scheme he and his parents orchestrated was prevented. Instead of returning the money to him as initially planned, she entrusted it to her aunt to invest in financial markets and manage her portfolio. Sarah cared for her as a devoted mother, loving and watching over her. After years of study, she earned a PhD in economics. Influenced by her aunt and knowledgeable, she started her career right after graduation. If you appreciate Zoraya's determination, kindly like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Soraya's aunt diligently managed the investments, and now, with knowledge and time, Soraya could handle her accounts. Zachary would be surprised to learn how the money he gave for her troubles caused her stress, but she used it effectively to reach her goal. Soraya married Michael Fain, a college peer, and they started a private financial practice. Their finances were stable and improving, but they were worried about infertility, namely oligospermia. Soraya and Michael had sought medical help, expecting a positive outcome. They sat on the living room couch, holding hands. She said, "I pray to the Lord daily to bless us with at least one child. I apologize, my dear. God is benevolent. I'm under prescribed medication. Give us time, and we will get our Anathoth." He kissed her forehead. "My dear, I've always wanted to ask, but have you ever attempted to locate the children?" Her face looked distressed. "I think of them daily, uncertain of their well-being, or if they're alive together or apart. I want to avoid worsening my mental state. It's been nearly 16 years. I don't know where they are. I plan to search for them after their 18th birthday." He silently agreed. "Honey, please stop overthinking." He looked worried and said, "I'm sorry we can't have children. Maybe a child would ease your worries. If you want a divorce, I understand." She smiled and tacitly disagreed. He looked at her quizzically. She said, "Our faith in the Lord has been tested, my love. We didn't marry for emotions or to legalize our living arrangements. We made a covenant before God." He smiled and kissed her lips. "I love you. Our marriage was rooted in love, not just for procreation. Children don't guarantee marriage longevity. Love does. Be fruitful and multiply, God says. We must trust His words. Anxieties are futile. Impotence will turn to potency. Trust in Him, and children will come." He nodded. Instagram linked her account to others' profiles, suggesting connections with the tagline, "Who you might know, follow or follow back." But she constantly ignored these suggestions. Zemariah had never posted anything on social media. Instagram sent her notifications, new stories. The names included Jalen, Zachary's younger sister, Zemariah's former high school friend, and 2 others. She didn't look because she didn't want to know anything about Zachary or his family. Zemariah was 34 years old, but she felt as if she was running out of time to conceive children. She desperately wanted a child to experience motherhood because she didn't know what it would be like. Although they had previously discussed the subject, she never wanted her husband to know her true feelings about longing for a family, not because he was incapable of having children, but because she had given up her children for adoption. The mental torment was intense at times, especially when she was alone. Michael had been in treatment for a while. They prayed for a positive outcome, desperate to have a child. Every month brought disappointment and pain. So, she no longer questioned whether she would conceive. Instead, she focused entirely on her work. Michael could see the change in her mood. He was glad about it. Several months subsequently, Michael observed that Zemariah had missed her menses. He then inquired, "Honey, when was your last menstrual cycle?" She stated without hesitation, "It was last month, I believe." "Why did you inquire?" He stated, "I do not believe so, dear." Zemariah reflected on the matter for a moment, frowning. "I do not believe that my monthly cycle occurred last month or the month before. I am experiencing confusion." They did not utilize over-the-counter pregnancy tests. Instead, they scheduled an appointment with a physician to have a professional examination conducted. During the journey to the physician's office, everyone appeared lost in thought. They were, perhaps, reflecting on her absence of menstruation. Could it be indicative of gestational amenorrhea? The test results confirmed that she had become pregnant 10 weeks earlier. Michael was overcome with tears of joy. Ignoring their immediate surroundings, he embraced his wife with profound emotional warmth. "God has bestowed it upon us, my love," he stated, acknowledging the divine blessing granted by God. It was the first day of school. Children hurried into the cafeteria to buy snacks from the vending machines before class began, since their preferred items would be unavailable by lunchtime. One of the triplets was acquiring a snack. She bent down to pick it up. Someone approached and operated the vending machine beside her. The young lady turned to step away from the machine, visibly stunned. The snack she held slipped from her grasp. She directed her gaze towards the girl facing her. They simultaneously declared, You have my face." Not only did they bear an uncanny resemblance to each other, but they also wore lavender blouses, white tank tops, white trousers, and coordinated shoes, their hair tied in ponytails. They impulsively embraced one another, neglected their class, and rushed into the girls' bathroom for a private conversation. Instead of speaking, they stood silently before a mirror, gazing at each other. Tears streamed down their faces as they embraced once more. One of them stated, "My name is Kibo. I've never seen you at this school. My parents relocated here from California a month ago and enrolled me in this institution." Kibo, what a remarkable name. It possesses an intercontinental sound. Kibo nodded. "Are you familiar with its definition?" Kibo smiled and said, "It means hope in Japanese. What's your name?" Tears streamed down her face once more as she responded, "My name is Tikva. It means hope in Hebrew." She reached for her necklace, concealed beneath her tank top, and unhooked it to reveal a heart-shaped locket. Her name was engraved on the reverse side of the locket. She opened it to display 3 heart shapes inside, one inscribed with Tikva, the middle one with hope, and the next with Kibo. Kibo presented her sister with her locket, displaying the identical designs and names. She stated, "I inquired of my parents regarding the locket, but they responded that they were unaware. The gift was left for me with the inscription on the box. My parents were asked to present the gift to me on my 13th birthday." Tikva's eyes welled up, and she said, "I received mine on my 13th birthday too." They said in unison, "It's clear that we are triplets, and our name is Hope." Kibo said, "They wanted us to find each other. We have to look for hope, Tikva." "Most definitely," Tikva said. They exchanged information and hurried to class. While Tikva searched for her classroom, Kibo was given excuses for her tardiness. Moments later, Tikva entered the same classroom as her sister. All eyes shifted from one sister to the other. A classmate exclaimed, "It's 2 of them!" and everyone chuckled. Kibo and Tikva found hope via social media and conducted a virtual meeting with their adoptive parents. The reunion on the media platform was marked by joy. All parties had resolved to search for their mother, who might help locate their father, assuming both were still living. The girls concurred that the person who left the necklaces intended them to meet by designing identical lockets and concealing crucial information within the heart-shaped lockets. The lockets were also intended to help the individual locate the children. The sisters took photographs together, displaying their heart-shaped lockets, and shared these images across various social media platforms. Soraya was seated on the sofa, holding her mobile phone to scheduled calls. Instagram linked her number with Zachary's sister. However, Soraya consistently ignored the notifications. "Someone you might know," a notification announced. Inadvertently, she interacted with the notification. Moments later, she exclaimed, "My children! Mike, look! My hope, they've found each other!" All of her children were captured in a single photograph, each adorned with a necklace featuring heart-shaped charms. Tears of joy streamed down her face. "My children have reunited!" Zachary's elder sister, who was 12 years his senior, was unable to conceive. Consequently, she and her husband adopted Kibo, which was how Soraya became aware of the sisters' reunion. The webpage contained photographs of Kibo with her adoptive parents. Additionally, Zachary took several pictures with Kibo, but was unaware that she was his biological child. His parents wished for Soraya to abort, but did not consider that the child might ultimately bring happiness to their family. Soraya contacted the children via her office telephone to maintain confidentiality of her maiden name. Their initials and her spouse's surname, S. and Amp, M. Fain, were visible on the official line. She researched the children's parents' surnames. The financial investment her aunt had made yielded a substantial return, surpassing her expectations. She prepared portfolios for each child to present to them on their 25th birthday. all the adoptive parents agreed to meet Soraya at a restaurant. Coincidentally, Soraya reserved accommodation at the same hotel as the children's parents. She wore a matching necklace and charm, identical to those her children's. She entered the restaurant, walking alongside her husband. Although she saw the children, they did not recognize her, as she had not exchanged photographs with them. She intended to surprise them. It indeed proved to be a surprise. Soraya, alongside her husband, attentively watching her daughters. They were exquisite young women. She had missed significant moments in their lives. Tears welled in her eyes and threatened to fall. She took a moment to compose herself. She said, "Honey, they are sitting right there at the corner." They walked over to their table. Zachary's sister saw her and covered her mouth. Soraya smiled and said, "What a remarkable coincidence. Isn't it surprising how interconnected people are?" "It is indeed." Kibo's mother said, "It is you, Soraya. My goodness, I cannot believe you are Kibo's biological mother." "Kibo is my blood, my niece," she said, sniffling. Soraya, perhaps, had many questions on her mind, but she maintained a smile and concentrated on her children. The girls rose and ran to their biological mother. She stood tall as she embraced her children. Smiling through tears, she then removed her necklace to reveal her locket with the names of the children, and on the back, her name, Soraya. Then she turned the first locket and said, "You are Tikva," and looked at another locket and said, "Hope," and the third locket, "Kibo, I am so happy that you have found each other." Soraya expressed profound gratitude to the children's adoptive parents. They maintained communication with both the children and their biological parents. Soraya and Michael had a son, their Anathoth, symbolizing their answered prayer. 18 months later, she gave birth to twins, Shama and Samuel. On special occasions, the triplets spent time with their biological mother, and occasionally, the families gathered. The triplets consistently found reasons to visit their new family and showered their younger siblings with affection. The end.